Because you know that we are fighting a malevolence without age.
That's right.
And this malevolence has been attacking us since forever. More recently, in the last many decades, assisted by their mindless enablers like Scott Morrison and Dan Andrews. And every politician that has served for at least 40 or 50 years, they have betrayed us in the worst possible way. Every last one. Nobody gets off scot-free. Now, do you want the masks gone?
Yes!
Do you want the QR codes gone?
Yes!
Do you want the lockdowns finished?
Yes!
Do you want the vaccines finished?
Yes!
Of course we do, but we also know that's not enough. Because if it stopped tomorrow, if all of this nonsense stopped tomorrow, Australia would go back to sleep.
Yes.
Because the reason we are suffering this injustice is because we allowed it to happen. Now, every one of us at some point was asleep, true?
Yes.
Some of us woke up sooner than others and some are still fast asleep. So you can't be too hard on them, because at some point somebody looked at us and said, "You bloody idiot, wake up." But we're awake now, and that's a good thing. And that's why what happens after this war is won is more important than winning the war. Now let me explain that to you. Groups all around Australia have been doing their bit to approach this particular problem. There's the enemy territory, and we've been hitting them from different directions, correct? You got the good people from the common law doing their bit. You got the Velvet Revolution doing their bit. Everyone is pushing the perimeter to see which cracks first, and we don't care who gets through as long as somebody gets through. Now, A1, we've got our approach, and we're happy with that. We do what we do, they will do what they do. But we're not here to get elected, and we will. We will become the party of government. You will become the party of government. But we know it's not about getting elected. That's a means to an end. The end, our purpose, is to save Australia. So everything we do must come through, look through that prism. Does this save Australia? If the answer is yes, we do it. If the answer is no, we don't. It's very simple. Our mission, our purpose is to save Australia. Now that's going to take time, we know that. We're going to see big improvements in the 3, 5 and 10 year marks. But this will take 3 or 4 generations to finally get the last cockroaches from under the rocks. When we can finally do a Dennis Lilly and say, "Oh, thank God that's over." 3, 4 generations. This is a 100-year plan, folks. Now we've got to start, and we're starting now, but this is a 100-year plan, because we have so much to overturn, so much pure evil and corruption. Every part of the Australian life, the leadership has been corrupted. The politicians, the bureaucrats, the judiciary, the constabulary, the military, the media, academia, big business, unions, the churches, the synagogues, the mosques, the temples, the leadership of every aspect of our life is utterly corrupted. The membership is different. They're good people doing their best. Does that make sense? So what we've got to do is get a hold of those good people. We can also lock up the leadership too. That'll be fun. And so what we're doing is this. We know A1's approach. Our intention comprises 3 parts. You've heard this, you've got to memorize it. Our purpose is to save Australia. The end state, this is what we want to create. Australia is a moral, sovereign, self-reliant Christian Western democracy which is economically powerful, militarily intimidating, politically free, socially cohesive, and culturally vibrant. Now, how are we going to do this? This is the most difficult way, and it's the only way we can guarantee that this never happens again. The method that we will employ is this. We will create a moral political party which assists every Australian to reach their highest individual potential, so collectively every one of us can participate in the reformation of Australia. Let me say that again, because this is very important. Get it in your head. We're going to create a moral political party that empowers every individual Australian to reach their highest individual potential, so that collectively we all participate in the reformation of Australia. If we do this, they will never, ever, ever be able to take this away from us again. Once the Australian people get a hold of their sovereignty, and you are sovereign, every last one of you, all authority in this country derives from you, and it doesn't matter whether you're a Prime Minister from Point Piper or a prostitute from Emerald. Every one of you is equal. Every one of you is equal. And when Australians get a hold of that sovereignty and they realise, you know what, you can't do that. I don't care what your piece of paper says. We've got a thing called the Constitution that tells you to get stuffed. Once you get a hold of it, you won't let go. And once we raise our children to understand that sovereignty comes from them, they will make sure this carries on for generation and generation and generation, and your great-great-great-great-grandkids will thank you for being the greatest generation of Australians that ever lived. Now, apparently, we're in our 3rd year of Flatten the Curve. 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and 3 years later, here we are. Now, who's had a gutful? Let me let you in on a little secret. The entire world has had enough. Everybody around the world has said, that's it, we're done. Even the people who did the right in their heads, they got the first vax and the second vax, and now they're saying, oh, you've got no immunity, so you better get a 3rd booster. And let's give it to your kids too. Can you see how sick these people are? They want to inject your children. That's the point. That's how bad they are. But once we get a hold of this, we're going to be fine. Now, we are closer to victory than it seems. I know you're tired. Who here has ever played an organised sport? Football, tennis, whatever. You know what it's like just before the end. You're knackered. You can't stand up. You're winded. You've got no energy left. And you dig deep and you go, got to do it, got to do it, got to do it. And here's a little tip. See all the grey hairs in the audience? We're going to win this for the youth. Because we've got some fight in us yet. And we're going to show them how to fight and win. We're going to fight and win. We are tired, but we're going to keep going. We keep moving forward. Can I quote my favourite American philosopher? Okay. Rocky Balboa. Let me tell you something you already know. Life ain't a bunch of rainbows and chocolates. It's a mean and nasty place, and it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody's going to hit as hard as life. But it's not how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you want, then go and get it. But you've got to be willing to take the hits. Are you ready to take the hits? The good news is we're so close. We are so close. Don't tell me you're tired. I don't care if you're tired. You get up and you keep moving forward. We are so close, folks. We are so close. And when it happens, you'll say, oh, now I understand. Now, let me just go back in time to last year. When I said, well, Christmas, just get through to Christmas, and next year's going to be better. And everybody said, where are the tanks? It's January the 1st. Where are the tanks? That's not how wars are won, not this sort of war. This war requires winning the people. You must win the people, because even if you arrested every crooked politician, every crooked judge, and every crooked cop, we go back to sleep. We must win the people. They have nothing left. They've already lost. How do we know that? 6 months ago, would you have heard a story on the news that was critical of the government or its response to COVID? Are the stories coming through now? Yes. That's not an accident. That is a significant strategic victory. The cracks are forming in the wall. Yes. The media is losing. The media is frightened. And I've been saying publicly, and they are now scared, that at Nuremberg 1.0, once they got the generals and the politicians on the gallows, next in line were? Now, we know there's enough evidence out there that this whole thing is a scam, that is designed to rob us and kill us. This is genocide, pure and simple. But the media hasn't reported that. Now, why haven't the media reported it? Frankly, I don't care. They're in on it. Of course they're in on it. They're in on it. The media has cracked. There is no going back. They have to report the truth now. This is a strategic victory, people. Don't think that we haven't made big progress. This is the one block to our victory, and it's cracking and it's cracking, and soon the dam will crack and the flood will come and the cockroaches will be washed away by the truth. Now, does this mean that Dan and Scotty from marketing and all these other cockroaches are going to back off? No. Like any cornered rat, they're going to scratch to the finish. But we're not giving them a way out. We're going to crush them. But they will come after us, and the only thing they've got left is fear. That's it. They make the most ridiculous, nonsensical, incoherent demands. Look at this idiot in Western Australia, McGowan. $20,000 fine if you turn up to work without being vaxxed. Why not make it $1 million? Why not make it $100 million? That's how nonsensical this garbage is. Chief Minister of Northern Territory, Gunner, $5,000 a day if you turn up to work unvaxxed. Really? Thanks, mate. These guys are lunatics. All they've got is fear. Understand they have no more power. How do we know that? If they were still in charge, in New South Wales, Gladys Berejiklian would still be the Premier, but she's not. If they were still in charge, Mick Fuller, the Commissioner for Police in New South Wales, that Masonic filth that he is, he would still be the Commissioner, but he's not. We've got Commissioner Karen. Now, Commissioner Karen, she's a lovely lady. I'm sure she is. But do you think the Assistant Commissioners are going to let her do a thing? If they were in charge, these people would not have resigned or been sacked. MPs around the country are resigning by the handful. Watch the game, watch the run of play and understand the signals that are coming to you. Just watch it and see, right, they are losing, they are losing. And what do you do when your opponent starts to get weak on their knees? You step forward, you give them a big one, and another, and another, and another, and another. That's what A1 is for. We've got to step forward now. We've got to build this army. They are losing, we are winning. This is going to come quicker than you think. Yes. Now, do you want me to tell you everything I know about what's going on?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, can't do it.
Oh. Give us something. Give us something.
What I can, okay, let me give you, how can I tell you something without telling you something? Let's have a think. Wait a minute. Oh, I've got one.
Yeah. A story.
Did you hear the story of counter-terrorism exercises in Perth from February to December? Now, anybody that's been in the military or the police, just show of hands, anybody that's served in any capacity, right. Have you ever heard of an exercise that went for 10 months? Now, if it's not an exercise, what do you think it might be? Maybe an operation? Right. Now, 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 5 and it doesn't equal 3, so but I'm sure you can work out. Now, this isn't a black hat operation, so it must be... I didn't tell you that. No. I didn't tell you anything. Yes. We heard about another 10-month counter-terrorism training exercise in Sydney Harbour, February to December. 2 plus 2 equals, it's not 5, not 3, gotta be something good. A1's job is not to disarm the police. A1's job is not to jail the politicians and the judges and everybody else. That's not our job. That's got to be done, but leave that to the people with the capacity to do that. Does that make sense? Yes. Everybody around Australia and around the world has used whatever resources and skills they have to fix this problem. We're attacking in multiple directions, you remember? Right, we can't bring down the coppers, the judges and everybody else, so don't do that. What we are here to do is build an army to create this organisation called Australia One, which is your organisation. You own it, you control it. And then we take this A1, this Australia One organisation, and we are the group that everybody comes to because we have a calm, measured and intelligent approach to how to take where we are and move to where we want to be. Example, things like a constitutional convention where you, the Australian people, have the opportunity to decide for yourselves by whom and how you will be governed. The nonsense we've got now is gone and we'll have a new one that you get to select. Yeah. And we finally got the appointment for the meeting. 9 months worth of gentle work and persuasion, information. A week before the meeting came up, the 5G issue hit the headlines, and I had a quick look into it, and the people producing this stuff admitted in Congress at a congressional hearing in the US that no testing had ever been done to verify it was safe. Zero, nothing. And so I rang up these people and I said, "G'day, it's me. Oh, looking forward to the meeting next week." I said, "Yeah, me too. However, let me just check. Are you involved in the 5G rollout?" And they said, "No, not at all. Not short term anyway. Medium to long we will be." I said, "Thank you very much. We're not available for the job anymore. Click." So the proof of the pudding's in the eating. I turned my back on a very big payday because it was wrong. It was going to kill people, and 5G will. The moment we get into power, every 5G tower is coming down. Chemtrails. Now, chemtrails, apparently, you need a tinfoil hat to believe this stuff, don't you? Except for one thing. The photos are real. The information is out there. And the lovely media, those, what I call them, the three stooges, the four stooges, Peter Credlin, Alan Jones, Andrew Bolt, and Paul Murray, all of those guys, Ida Buttrose at the ABC, they'll make fun of you. Do us a favour, just send a polite email to the ABC saying, "Why are you lying to the Australian people?" Just do that for us. But anyway, the chemtrails are real, the evidence is there, like everything else. We're running out of conspiracies because it's all true. There's a photograph of Donald Trump when he first took office, walking through the plane, looking at the chemtrail mechanisms. It's all true. It is designed to geo-engineer, amongst other things, make bushfires worse than they should be. They have already passed legislation years ago for cloud seeding, didn't ask your permission. See, that sort of thing is fairly important, don't you think? Don't you think that people should be consulting on something that's going to affect the environment? Yeah. And yet they tell you that if you chop down a gum tree, you're going to kill all the koalas from here to Ayers Rock. It's all lies. So the chemtrails, the geoengineering is absolutely correct. That'll stop any laws that allow anybody to interfere with the environment, and that includes foreign countries. If they interfere with our environment, we won't take them to The Hague. We'll just send a team in, bring them here, and we'll deal with them ourselves.
Thanks, Rick. We've got one more. Thanks, great questions. Thanks. Oh, actually, the fluoride in the water too, Rick. What are we doing about that?
Oh, we're going to stop the fluoride immediately. Let me tell you about fluoride. Fluoride is a chemical byproduct from other industrial processes, and what these buggers do is they end up with this ton of waste and say, "What can we do with this?" Now, the dentist will swear blind that fluoride topically applied to teeth is good, and that may be true. But at what point did they say ingesting it is good for you? Yeah, that's just insane. Now, I'm not a dentist, I don't know this stuff, and I like it when professionals come up and say, "Well, I'm a dentist, mate, you don't know what you're talking about." I go, "Fine." The Deputy Chief Dental Officer of New Zealand, you reckon he knows what he's talking about? It's a bloody oath. Deputy Chief Dental Officer, this is some years ago, of New Zealand, was sent on a world tour to identify and record the benefits of fluoride in the water. Come back and give us the best information, so let's pump up the fluoride in the water. So the Deputy Chief Dental Officer of New Zealand did his world tour, came back and resigned because he realised that they were poisoning the people. Fluoride's out. Man gets elected. Does that make sense? Now, they can cheat the voting, but only so far. Because if 61,000 people out of 100,000 sign a statutory declaration after they walk out saying, "My name is John Smith, and I voted for Craig Cole in the electorate of Casey," and signs it, that is now a legal document. To falsely sign a stat dec is perjury. So what will happen is the crooked AEC, and come and sue me, go on, come and sue me, please do. Let's make a song and dance about how bloody honest the AEC is. The crooked AEC will say, "Oh, look, there we go. The Australian Bolshevik Collective, like Kerry Stokes saying, 'Oh, look, we won another seat.' Oh, sorry, the Labor Party won another seat." And they'll say, "Craig Cole got 300 votes. That's unfortunate." And we just turn up with 61,000 statutory declarations and walk into the Court of Disputed Returns, which will be the High Court. And there's a pedophile on the High Court. You pick them. And we say, "We beg to differ. We beg to differ." We have 61,000 statutory declarations saying that Craig Cole won. Craig Cole gets in. Craig Cole gets in, the game is over because we now have just one. Now this is like landing on the beaches of Normandy. We land on Normandy, we're not going to get to Berlin by the day after. Land on the 6th, we're not getting to Normandy on the 7th. But we get a toehold on Normandy. We get one person in Parliament, hugest victory you can imagine, because that's the beginning. And then Craig gets in, and in his inimitable style, we'll crack a few scones in Parliament, and we start to win. So it doesn't matter if we lose a whole bunch of seats. We just need one. And folks, whoever goes up as the A1 candidate, descend on that electorate and make sure that electorate is won by A1, and that's how we get through it, okay? That's how we do it. This is going to take time.
Thanks, Rick. And just to follow up on that, if I am fortunate enough to be elected by the electors and do get a seat in Parliament, there's a lovely thing called a maiden speech. And your maiden speech is supposed to be all warm and fuzzy and oh yes, and I grew up in Gladstone Park. Stuff that. I'm getting out the M60 and I'm going to mow them all down. I'm going to call every single one of them out for being the dirty, rotten, stinking pedophile protectors they are. They sat there like cowards. Every judge, every senior sergeant, every chief inspector that's protected pedophile trash, you're up for the high jump too, because I couldn't give a stuff. How do you reckon my maiden speech is going to look now? Pretty good? And you can sell tickets for question time at Parliament as well too. Mr. Speaker can kiss my ass. Thanks, Rick. I just have another question.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the next member for Casey. Oh, and by the way, most of the politicians are in on it too. So, what we're going to do is this. All of those illegal activities will stop immediately. They have to because they're unconstitutional. But better than that, all the people that had to sell their farm because they were no longer viable, it's like a mafia hit. You beat them up until they just sell. We're going to take it back from whomever bought it, and it's generally a Chinese corporation. We take it back without compensation because as far as we're concerned, it is just stolen goods. And then we ring up Mr. Cruikshank and say, Mr. Cruikshank, here's the deed to your farm. And he goes, but I sold it. I said, yes, but you were forced, you were coerced. Here's the title deeds. And he's going to say, what do I do with this? I said, whatever the hell you like, it's your land again, mate. Now, that's just the water. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we decentralise the cities. Why do you think, with a country with this much space, you are paying $1 million for a unit the size of a stamp? It's insane. Why? Because it's easier to control the population with everything they're doing by shoving us into tiny little cities. Smart cities, strong cities, dumb cities, moron cities. We're going to set up the economic conditions so you'll want to move into the rural areas. We need to repopulate rural Australia. And that'll be done by creating the real infrastructure that rural Australia needs. Industry, hospitals, roads, transport, the lot, everything is there. So you, with that same money, instead of $1 million to buy a tiny box, you spend $500,000, you've got 5 acres, you've got fruit trees in the back, a couple of chooks in the shed, the kids can kick the footy in your own backyard without you going over the fence. How does that sound? Now that sounds like a country to grow up in. How do we do that? Again, water is key to this country. We've got a water problem. Bullshit, we've got an infrastructure problem. Now, who's heard of the Bradfield scheme? Just show of hands. Oh, good, okay, bunch of virgins, here we go. The Bradfield scheme. Bradfield was the chief engineer that designed a lot of the infrastructure in the early days of Australia. The man was a genius. He had a plan to dam the Tully rivers up north, the rivers around Tully in North Queensland. And those of us in the military have been in Tully. That's where you learn to sleep in 6 inches of water. And the trick is don't roll over because you've warmed up the water you slept, and when you roll over it's cold, so that's how you do it. But the tons and tons and tons of water that flows down from in North Queensland, it goes into the barrier reef. And the idiot greenies say, oh, it flushes the coral reef. Since when does a coral reef need flushing by fresh water? That's how moronic they are. So what you do is you dam it all. This is the Bradfield scheme. It's been around for ages. You dam all the rivers, and then we're going to green central Queensland. Because anybody who's been to central Queensland knows it's flat and brown. That's it. You stamp your foot, the dust comes up, doesn't come down for a week. So we're going to green central Queensland. We're going to make it the bread basket of the world. The water, now how's this for cool? The water will pass through either canals or pipes or whatever, makes no difference to us. We'll make sure it avoids any sites that shouldn't be disturbed. We've got no problem with that. We put whirlpool generators along the pipeline. So as it flows, it literally just swims in a vortex and continues down. This generates, these turbines, these whirlpool generators, create enough energy for a town of 2,000 people. Free hydropower forever. The water then continues into New South Wales, joins the Murray-Darling, joins the Murray, and even has enough water to get through to Adelaide. so the boaties down there can sail their yachts. It's an infrastructure problem. Now, they haven't done it. Why? Now, the Greens always argue it's against the environment. The only time the Greens say it will cost too much is when they haven't got an environmental argument, and they say, oh, it costs too much. So you know it's a good idea. That's what we're going to do. So that will irrigate the land, the farmers will come back, the towns will come back, and rather than having 6 cities the size of Ayers Rock, how about we have 100,000 towns, and where you've got a real life, real neighbours, real quality of life, and you don't need to go to the city unless you really need to. That's the plan.
Excellent. Thanks. Thank you.
Capital punishment.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Bit slow on the button there. That's all good, mate.
Hi, Sally Ann here. I've been a nurse for 48 years and I'm just disgusted in the medical tyranny. We could have stopped this when it first started. Yeah, really, it didn't have to even begin because it's such bullshit that what they're saying. It just doesn't make sense. Oh, nurses know better. I just don't understand. What are we going to do with these corrupt people that are killing people with their backs?
Hang on.
Yay!
Yep.
Now, just on that, so you're aware, the Rockefeller family took over medical training back in mid-last century, and they took control of it. It's not about health, it's about illness. It's not in their interest for you to get better because they can't sell you tablets. So what we're going to do in Australia is this. We're going to take all the billions of dollars that goes in a big pharma and tell them to take a long walk off a short pier. That same money goes into research and development for all the natural, healthy remedies that exist in nature. There is no disease on this planet that doesn't have a natural remedy. Not one. Now, people say specifically, what about marijuana? I go, okay. We're in favour of medicinal CBD oil. We're in favour of medicinal THC oil. We're in favour of hemp for food, clothing, rope and building materials. Not a problem. Go for it. If you want a couple of pot plants in the back of your garden for a chumbi on the weekend, that's your business. But, if you industrialise it and sell it to kids, I will lock you up for the rest of your miserable fucking lives. We will have the healthiest population on the planet. We will have the healthiest population on the planet because we're going to go back to nature because the answer's all there. The answer is all there. And that money will check because we need to do the R&D because there are charlatans in the health business too. But we will check it out, safe and effective. But we're going to have a health policy, not an illness policy. A wellness policy, not a pharma policy. And all the money goes into that.
Thank you. Great question.